Okay, do I hear a replay? Hi, everybody. So glad you were able to join us this afternoon. Today, well, and yesterday too, as a matter of a fact. I'm Robin Brown. I'm an independent demonstrator for Stampin' Up, and I'm so glad you joined us today. I hope you'll come back often, and we have a lot of fun. Today, we are going to be doing our annual 3D Christmas projects class. I'm hoping that you all have your Christmas cards done. We worked on them in November, but if you don't, feel free to go ahead and make some more. I haven't really started mine yet, so I feel for you. Anyway, stick around for a few minutes and I'll get my customers to join. And if you would like to join us, please feel free to send me a private message and you can join any one of our videos. I also post on YouTube. And to find me on YouTube, all you do is type in at Robin's Nest Creations. So it's the little at sign, the A with the circle around it, Robin's Nest Creations, all one word. That's what they're calling a handle these days, and that's the handle for my channel. So you will find all of our videos that are posted and all of the videos that have been posted in the past. So when my customers get here, I'll finish up with a little bit of announcements and then we'll talk to you real soon. Thank you. I get it going. All right, and I'm wearing earphones to try to keep the echo out of the video. I think that's what was causing it. It's my microphone on the microphone that I'm using on the camera is picking up the speaker from the computer, which is sitting next to me. So if I put on headphones, the sound comes through the headphones and hopefully the microphone doesn't pick it up and echo. That's my reasoning. And anyway, one of those things you learn over the years or try to. Okay, so let's swing you around to the desktop here, this way. And we're looking at the calendar for January. Oh, do you believe it's coming up already on January? Yay. Yeah. I have the 17th would be, we could do it on the 10th, but the 17th would give me that extra week to recover from the holidays and get going on stuff. So if the 17th at 1 o'clock looks good to you, that's when I'd like to do you guys' class.
It's okay with me.
As I know.
All those in favor?
Works for me.
There we go. Okay. All right, so put that down on your books and I've got it right here on the 17th. And for some reason, if you miss that, I'm going to try to get the other class on the 18th in the morning. Okay, so a little bit of news here. YouTube has finally got smart. Yay. And they approached me because my videos are doing so well. They approached me first because all the other Robin's Nest Creations people don't have as many followers and don't have as many views on videos. So they asked me if I wanted my, what they're calling handle, to be Robin's Nest Creations. So now, of course I said yes. I don't have to have any numbers after it. I don't have to spell it weird or anything like that. So now if you want to find any of the YouTube classes videos from any of our classes, you just go to YouTube and in the search bar you type at Robin's Nest Creations and it'll take you right to my channel with a list of all the videos there.
Wow.
Okay.
That's great.
Yep.
Because last year's project, I'm a little bit stuck on one of them, so I could probably go back and find that one.
Definitely. Yeah. And I believe they're listed in chronological order. So you know, just follow the months down. Also, of course, this is just the address for the 24/7 shopping store. And here's your host code that's good until Christmas. Okay, after Christmas, we'll have a new one. And I think that's all the big announcements that I have. They're not really big, but I think that's all we have for now. Okay. So I have I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 projects for you today.
Oh, wow.
And some are easier than others and some are a little more complicated, but okay, so these are what these projects look like when they're closed up. And you can see I've been experimenting with the best way to do things. This is the first one I made, and I made it with this yellow bead because I didn't have any of these fancy ones yet. But what you do is you slide this bead up the ribbon and you put your thumbs inside the inside the loop of the ribbon and you open it up and you flip it around and then you slide the bead down and it holds it open.
I love those. I'm going to make a bunch of them.
Okay. And I used, for this one, I used the church that was in the Piece to You set. However, it looks okay. I wasn't really thrilled with the way it kind of cuts the churches up. And especially the backside, it only shows trees. And the inside pieces are okay. They all show a church. But, so if you want to use that one, it will work. But then I decided, well, let's try another one. And this is with stamping. And then, so we got another one here. And I found some beads that look like the ball drop from the Waldorf Astoria. It's not focusing there we go. Anyway, they have a very tiny holes and they have all small holes so that they stick on the ribbon when you're sliding it up and down. You don't want it to go real easily, but you don't want it to be terribly hard either. So this is this one, which I just stamped with one little, this is the ornament stamp. This is how I stamped it. And you stamp this on the front and the back of each piece of paper that you're using. So when it came to the center, my idea was if I got those exactly in the center, this would just look like another ornament in the middle. Not so close. It was close, but no cigar, especially on this side. I got 3 tops to ornaments and I didn't know how to unsort that. So then I decided to make one in DSP, figuring that the paper would be pretty on both sides. So it's the same kind of thing, only I didn't have to do any stamping. And I put some Linka Stella on there for some glitter. Here's the back side over here. It's sticking a little bit. There's the back side. And then the inside is just the back of the side pieces are just the back side of the paper. I suppose if you wanted this to be flowers on both sides, you could glue 2 pieces of paper together, but I thought that might be too bulky and maybe wouldn't work so well. And then this one, I have the paper turned around the other way. So it's the plain side of the paper up here. And
now what if you use double-sided paper?
Well, this is double-sided paper, but you're going to be relegated to whatever's on the back side of the paper is what's going to show up. So you need to pick out something that's nice on both sides. Okay. So if you're stamping, which is what we're going to do, we're going to stamp both sides of the paper the same. So I started with 5 3x3 squares. Yes, 3x3 squares of basic white cardstock. And I was looking for a snowflake, and I don't have any current snowflakes, but you could stamp this with anything you wanted. You could stamp it with the ornament. You could stamp it with Christmas trees. You could stamp it with holly berries. You could stamp it with a nice big poinsettia flower in the center. But I, from last year, picked up Seasons a Merry Snowflakes. And I think we're going to use this one here and this one here. So we'll see how this comes out because I haven't done it yet. All righty, so we're going to take this large snowflake, this one here, and I thought I'd use Balmy Blue. And are we, okay, I'm making sure I'm in the frame. Okay, I'm going to try to do my best to get that centered because I think it looks better when it's folded. Okay, and we'll do that on all, oh, it's got to do it on both sides. Forgot. When you're stamping, you have to do it on both sides. If you use double-sided paper, of course, you don't need to do any stamping. You just need to do the folding. And I'm going to put another little snowflake on there too. If you have the old Festive Flurry stamp set, has a huge snowflake in there. That would be nice to use if you still have that one. That's probably from about 4 years ago. All right.
So actually get rid of stamps?
Pardon?
Do people actually get rid of stamps?
I'm afraid so.
Oh.
Not me. I think I've got everyone I started out with.
Well, good.
Except for some of the old wooden ones, which I gave to gave to Lynn when I moved.
I think I might have overdone it with snowflakes on this one, but we'll see. You know, we're just playing here. Uh-oh, halos, I messed up. All right, I'll take my time. Right, back side. And this is just Balmy Blue, and I'm gonna take a sponge dauber and sponge around the edges too. Or you could, if you wanted to make it look sparkly, you could dip the edges into some Versamark and then sprinkle some Dazzling Diamonds embossing powder on it and make it sparkly. Or you can kind of go over the edges or the images with some Wink of Stella. Wink of Stella seems to work very well, but it's just not as pronounced as the, all right, 2 more. And the ribbon I used was just something I picked up at the retail store. I think that Stampin' Up sells a beautiful ribbon with gold edges, which is nice. I'm not sure if they sell one with silver, which I thought would look better with the blue than the gold. So feel like I'm at the post office. Although I don't think they work that fast.
I don't think they can stamp much anymore either.
Well, they do if you're making handmade cards. At least they say they do anyway. They say they need to. Okay, then on these two pieces, these are 1.5 inches square, and these are going to make the front of this when it's closed up. All right, so that's going to be what these two pieces are for. So let's put a snowflake. Let's not put a snowflake in the middle. Let's put Christmas greetings on it. At least on one side. All right, and then I'm going to take snowflakes and do them up in the corners like this. And I press too hard. So we have stuff going on this one. And then you will find in the new catalog that Stampin' Up has some smaller blender brushes instead of those big honky ones. This is the size of the old one. Now I didn't get them yet, but I have ones that are very similar, but this is the size of the smaller one. So in my opinion, you don't really need this great big one to do the job. So I'm just going to put a little blush of blue on here.
Okay.
Hi, how are you?
And we'll put a snowflake on this one because that's what I did instead of stamping the other sentiment. Okay, so then if you have a sponge dauber, you can sponge the edges, or I'm going to flick them like this on the stamp pad just to get a little blue around the edges. This is all I'm doing here. You can do this if you don't want to, if you're lazy and don't want to get out of dauber. There. Okay. That's all the stamping. So on to the folding.
Okay.
All right. So if you're doing stamped, it does not make any difference which side you work with. If you're doing the DSP, the color that you want to show on the inside of the star is going to be folded to the outside on this piece. So let me see if I can actually, I should have had a sample. So what I'm trying to say is if this was a square, you don't want this showing up on the inside. You rather have your pattern showing up. So when you're folding it in half, you're going to fold it so that your pattern is on the outside. Okay. That's as clear as mud. So we're gonna, let me bring this down here just a little bit closer. And maybe I'll get away from our blue stuff here. There we go. Now maybe you can see what I'm doing. All right, so we're folding in half across. somewhere around here. I have my bone folder. Yep. Creasing. And then we're opening it up and folding it the opposite way across. So that you will have a cross shape on your folds. Then with these things kind of pointing upward, just go straight down to your tabletop. And now this is going to get folded up on the inside of the next fold, which is a diagonal fold corner to corner. See, and that's why I'm saying that it doesn't, if you stamped it instead of using DSP, it really doesn't matter because they're going to look the same on both sides. All right. Now, when you have this, just bring this up. And there's a little trick here too. All you have to do is turn it over like this and open it up a little bit and stick your finger or your thumb right on the center and give it a push. And did you see it pop? Okay, watch it pop. Here it comes. There we go. Why is that picture so small? I should have spotlighted here for you. Here we go. Maybe that's better. Okay, so open, pop. Okay, and then the rest of it is just folding it together. It kind of actually falls together after you pop it over like that. All right, so you do that to all 5. So in half. In half again. In half on the diagonal, which you need to make sure it's the opposite fold or it won't pop. The opposite side of that fold. I'll demonstrate that again in the next one I do to show you. When you have your cross there kind of peeked up like this, put it straight down on the table when you do your diagonal fold. Okay, so then we're going to push our thumb in here, give it a pop, and it just kind of flips over by itself. And you just scrunch that all together. And okay, so you fold it in half. I'm going to back up just a little. Fold it in half again. Pick it up and look at the tent feature. Put the tent so it's standing straight up and down on your table. Then push it flat and make your diagonal fold. And that's kind of important so that you can get this shape folded up easy. It kind of looks like a fortune cookie. I think I'm going to call it the fortune cookie fold. All right, pop. There's another one. 2 more.
I'll be right back.
All righty. And again, you got the TP pointing upward. Just push it down on the table and do that diagonal fold. Pop it in the center, fold it up. And I'll go real slow on this last one when I'm popping up so you can see again how that folds. Okay, so we got it folded in 4. Here's the cross in the center. Put it straight down, push it down, fold it on the diagonal. By the time you do this to the 5th time, you finally get it, you know? All right, and then push your thumb in the middle and it just kind of flops like this. And so where it's bent down here and here, that's the ones that go inside. It's the only ones that have a score line. So the ones that have the score line and they're pointed downward, they fold to the inside, just like so. All right, is that as clear as mud? Maybe? Okay.
Yep.
So the next thing you do is you take all these things and you put them so that their openings are all going the same direction. Open, 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 open. So you take one, you hold it closed with your finger, you get out some Tombow. You could, if you have a good stout double-sided adhesive, maybe like Terran tape or the Stampin' Up's got Seal Plus, will probably hold it, but we're going to take the next piece with its opening going in the same direction down here by my finger, open end on top of open end. We're gonna just glue these together, all 5 of them. There's another one, there's the opening. It's going down here by my finger. So that all of the openings are on the same corner of the stack here. And if you let go of this, it'll just, you know, roll right open. There you go. Last one. Okay, and then you can squish them really tight. Like so. And then you have it just sprung open all on its own. In your kit, I'm giving you a piece of ribbon with the bead already strung. It's probably a little overly long. You don't need it that long. But what you do need to do is make sure that you, at this point, put your openings so they're at the top. The opening to the ornament is at the top of the ornament. So where this bead comes down, right here, this is the top. This is all the openings. All right. So we're going to just down through the center here. Forgot to do this. I am going to cut a point on this ribbon. Probably cutting about 1 inch off. It doesn't need to be quite this long. You'll have to adjust it. All right, you see the point? That point is going to go to the point. So here's the top. Take your ribbon and put the point at the bottom. The ribbon is going to point to the bottom. Okay, now that is pretty much just to get it temporarily stuck down. Then you're going to take some of your Tombow glue, glue it over the top, and take one of your pieces that you stamped previously and put it over like so. And that side is done. Okay. We're going to flip the whole thing over. Put a little seal, Terran tape. You could use glue, but that kind of gets your fingers sticky when you use it in that particular place. So I put the point at the point. This is the closed portions. The folds are down here. The folds are at the point. Opening is up by the bead. Okay. And we're going to put dark glue on that again. Put our snowflake on there. Thank goodness this one doesn't have an up or down. So you can put it on there any way you choose. Okay, press. Okay, then you just slide your bead up. Flip it around like so. Hold your sentiments together. If you've been a little sticky with the glue, it may, oh, I like this one. Because the snowflake looks like it's come together in the center.
I like that. That's nice.
Okay, and it should look similar on the other side. Yes, it does.
Good job.
On the sides, yeah. I did that right along with you. That's the first time I did those. That one with some snowflake stamp. So yeah, that one, I kind of like that one. Now I could make a bunch of those and give them out as little thank yous, or you can put this on your Christmas table just like this as a little favor. And then when they go home, they'll have a little ornament to take with them. Now you could do the Wink of Stella on there, but I think this is pretty enough that it really doesn't need it. And you could also go around the edges of each one of these with a sponge dauber if you wanted, like we did on the labels. But again, this is wild and pretty and nice. Okay, nice. I'm going to hang that up here so I can look at it. There we go. I have it hung on the light switch. See? All righty. So let's get back to those need to go on their own there. I don't need those anymore. The next one, and I'm going to take this paper off of here now because I don't think I'm going to get too, yes, I will get inky. I'm going to use this for stamping. All right, so our next project.
Ooh.
Oh.
Okay, so when you pull the bow and open it up, take off the lid, and you can see there's 3 little boxes inside. And you open it up like so. And these,
that's cute.
And there's boxes are big enough for, oh, Ferrero Rocher. It's good for candy. You could put a necklace in there. You could put lip balms in there. A bath bomb, a small bath bomb would fit in there. Okay. And I used the Boughs of Holly designer series paper for the outside and the lid, outsides and the lids. And this portion in here, I stamped with the Decorated with Happiness and Boughs of Holly. I used the gigantic berries from Boughs of Holly, but everything else is from Decorated with Happiness. So then, of course, to fold it up, you just fold it up, put the bottoms on. I find it easiest to start over the corner of an end first. I did make one following the exact directions that were given me, and it was too sloppy loose. So I did not put the increased sizes on the, they wanted the lid to be a 1/4 inch or a 1/8 inch bigger. And it was just too much. It was flopping around. And then these, when you open them up, if the lids were bigger, they would catch each other when they were open and they would pull the lids off. So I just left these are a 2 by 2 1.5 inch. They're 1.5 inch square in the middle. Okay, rather than increasing it to the 1 9/16 they wanted. That didn't work out for me. Anyway, So set that aside, and this ribbon is about 20 inches long. All right, so this piece measures 4 inches wide by 11 inches long. So you get this out of one piece of DSP. You need 3 of these at 3 inches square. Those are for the box bottoms. And are there 3 of them in there? Searching. We'll find another one somewhere. This piece, oh, I grabbed the wrong thing. That's fine. That's why this is not looking right. Back up. This is for the last project instead of, okay. No wonder it looked like there was parts missing. Completely the wrong idea. But it was the same colors. So your box bottom is measuring 8.5 wide and by 5 1/4. So you could get 2 of those pieces out of one sheet, but then you need, this is for the box top, a piece that's 6 inches by 2 3/4. These are for the 3 boxes. I believe they're 4 inches square. Let me check those. 4.5 inches square. You need 3. These are for the box tops. They're 2.5 inches square. So you need 3 of those. And the rest is, you'll need 2 pieces of 5 by, 5 by 1 5/8. 2 pieces that are the same. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's 1 5/8 by 4 7/8. No, I'm reading the directions wrong here. Where's the white? White, basic white, 2 pieces, 1 5/8. This is 4 7/8 to here, not 5. 4 7/8. And then, of course, the panels that fit inside of here are just 1/4 inch smaller. Except for the squares here, they're basically just like a smudge smaller. How do you say it? 1/32 of an inch smaller, just so that they don't hang over the edge. All right, so on this large piece, we're going to score this at which I said measures 8.5 by 5 1/2. So we're going to score on the long side. Yes, this is the long side at 1 3/4 and at 3 1/2. What? Score on the long side at 1 3/4 and 6 3/4. I knew that was wrong. Okay, and then on the short side, 1 3/4 and 3 1/2. All right. That is not looking right at all. This is supposed to be 6 3/4 over here. All right, I'm going to show you how you fix a mess up on a box. I just turn it over, take my little score thing. And how many of you have done that? Anybody? Just me. Okay. So you can still see the line, but at least it'll be, for demonstration purposes, it'll still be good. Okay, so that's the big piece. The main box lid is this piece. And it needs to be scored at a 1/2 inch on all sides. So there. And there. And I put it this way so that I can fit my fat fingers in there, because working over here and trying to score doesn't work so well. So I figure out what the 1/2 inch is, go that way. These little box tops also get scored at a 1/2 all the way around. Got 3 of those. Getting warm in here. My room is heating up. The lights are all on. There we go. Another, this is the last one of these box tops. And then the last thing that we have to score is the boxes themselves. And they are 4.5 by 4.5, and we're going to score them at a 1/2 inch all the way around. Make sure I'm telling you right. 1.5 figures. It's 1.5. Boy, I'm really messing this one up. 1.5. Okay, because we just want that little centerpiece. 1.5. Well, we'll work it out. 1.5. I'll get these other ones right. And I'm going to blame it on the text on her typing. I should have made little labels on this one like I did the other one. Okay, so then it gets us into cutting. Cutting and notching. All righty, so let's do the box bottom. The first thing we're going to do on the box bottom is cut these corners completely out. There'll be a template in your instructions. Don't need to do any wedging on this particular portion of the cutting. Straight up on both sides. Straight up on both sides. Okay. And then those are going to get folded on the score lines. We are going to put a small square on each one of these. And this one goes on. And then we're going to stamp our sentiment and put it in here like so. So let's get to gluing here. Turn it over. We're going to need 2 on this side as well. I don't know if I cut this one the right size. These seem awfully, well, maybe I cut the green paper smaller. Anyway, you use whatever kind of paper you want on here. You can use fancy foiled paper, would look pretty. This is the boughs of holly, and then one of these on each side here. Now, if you're putting directional paper, you have to watch which way this closes so that your stems are pointing upward. This is sort of almost directional. So it's going to point to the top here, and it's going to have to point to the top over here, down here this way for the bottom one. Opposite each other. So the bottoms of the papers are along this seam toward the bottom of the box. All right. So let's get our stamping on here done. I'm going to use some the little pine bough from Decorated with Happiness, and some Evening Evergreen ink. I'm just going to stamp around kind of at the corners, a little bit at the middles. Okay, and then I have the red berries from the boughs of holly that I'm going to stamp in real red. And they're gigantic berries, so you don't need to put them all the way on there. Make them look a little different, and then maybe some here. Didn't put very many. Oh, I got my finger in it evidently. Okay. So what did I have on the inside of this as a sentiment? Oh, same Christmas greetings we used on the last item. So let's see, did I clean it off? I did, sort of. I'm going to stamp Christmas greetings, and I'm going to stamp it right over that smudge I made there. Here we go. And just to make sure that mine kind of looks like normal, because I smudged it, I'm going to take a little bit of the Evening Evergreen and kind of, well, I don't know what color is on there, but it sure is an Evening Evergreen. Well, leave it to me to mess something up. Looks a little brown there, doesn't it?
Smoky.
It's smoky. That's a good name for it. All right. So anyway, this one's messed up with the folds anyhow, so this will just be a demonstrator view. Okay, so the sentiment gets glued straight in the middle and the bottom. It fits right between the score lines. Just like it was made for it. Okay, and you can opt to put glitter or whatever else you may want on there. Now the boxes. The boxes are going to get cut up the one score line, a little wedge, a little wedge. Now this particular designer liked to use the, she called it the pinwork pattern, or pinwheel pattern, rather than going across here and cutting here. She went to the next one, but she did take this and cut this in half. Not rocket science, it just needs to be cut a little bit. So then we're going to go up here. We're going to cut our wedge in here. I'm going to cut this one in half. I'm going to cut up straight here, wedge in here. She just does it a little bit different than a lot of the other box designers do. She felt this would give some more stability to the boxes. I'm not sure either way which way is better, or if it really makes a difference. So you would do that to all three of the those, and let me see if I can actually do it to this one I messed up. Yeah, I think I can. You'll have a lot of scraps and pieces left over for your scrap bin. All right, so that's two of them, one more. And you're going to do the lids in the same fashion, except that you don't need to cut anything off of the flap on the lids. Sometimes I wish I could speed this up like they do off camera. I can't cut that fast. All right, so that's the 4 box bottoms. And guess what? They all get scored and burnt, or folded and burnished. Fold in the flaps too. These boxes don't have a lot of stress on them, so you could use just regular tear and tape if you don't like getting gluey. And you're gonna just bring those together and make a tight corner. Hold it there for a second or two. Hold the next one in. Put some glue on it. That's a lot of glue I put on that one. Okay, hold it there. And on these last two, I put the glue on both of them at the same time because one will fall in and then it's hard to get your glue bottle in there. So I put them in and just close it like this and then push this out from the inside. Okay, try to get your corners nice and square. There's one. That wasn't me. So you guys, I But this is just putting boxes together pretty much. And then putting lids together. Now see, this one, I didn't glue both of those at the same time, and now I have to kind of it around in there. So now I'm going to put glue on it this time.
Is that a technical term?
Yeah, it around.
Got it.
Yeah. I have to add that to the dictionary, huh? Okay. Boy, when you're in a hurry, the corners don't get too square. Okay. Last one is over here somewhere. Okay, I'm just going to fold all these flaps up and put glue on them all at one time and see how that works. See how messy that gets. Not so bad. Oh, that was pretty slick. That's my new recommendation if you cut it pinwheel style. Glue them all up at the same time. Works pretty good. All right. All right, so there's your 3 boxes. I'm going to do one of the lids. I'm not going to do them both, do them all just to save a little time. But these get cut and notched at the same way. And again, she did this pinwheel style. And I didn't try it the other way. So I don't know how it would work. But I felt that this was worked out real well. So why fix what's not broken, right? All right. Okay, before you put the lid on the box, you're going to need to, before you glue the lid, glue the box together, it would be a good thing to put your box top decoration on there. Like so. And I'm going to glue, 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 glue. And assemble. Forgot to score that one. That's a no-no. Make sure you score the flaps too. Okay, getting those matched up. It should fit right on there, which it doesn't, of course, because there we go. I will have to make sure when I make your kits that I cut them appropriately and score them appropriately. That one's a little too small. Either that or these boxes were a little too big. I think the boxes were too big. But anyway, so you got your box up there. All right, so then you're going to glue 2 of these boxes one way, 1 box the other way. I leave a little bit of like 1/8 of an inch between them so that when you close it up, the lids pass each other. And since I didn't cut my lid right or something went wrong here, figures it went wrong. You just put this here, leave a little bit of a border because you want to make sure it's inside, and don't put it right on the score line. Leave it off the score line a little bit. So you'll have a little border, like 1/8 of an inch border all around the box. Right? I'm going to throw this Tombow in a minute. It's not cooperating. So you'd put 2 here. And it doesn't matter if you put 1 up here and 2 on the bottom, just go for it, whatever way you like. Now on this one, before you set it in stone down here, before you press it down, make sure that your lids, you're going to have the lids on your boxes when you're doing this, just like this. Have them on there. So make sure that they pass each other when you're doing that. Okay. So then you'll have them this way. Now these pieces, that's pretty much, I'm not going to go through all that, all the gluing and cutting and whatnot, because you know how to do that. Oh, the top piece goes like this. Let me do just the top because I didn't. It just goes with the white and then this border around it gets glued to the top, okay? And you cut this the same way and glue it together the same way as you do all this other stuff. And so you'll have your top like this, only it'd be different paper. And I don't know what paper I'm going to give you. But in this little box of goodies that I have cut a bunch of these pieces of holly and berries and whatnot from the designer series paper that I used on the box. So whatever I use on the inside here, I will find something to cut out and put in here and here. And I may even just give you one of these poinsettias to put in the 3 places. So you can kind of decorate that up whatever way you like. I put a little holly leaf and a little berry thing and put Wink of Stella on each one of those. Yeah, glitter there. Same over here and there. So I just cut that right off of the paper that I used to make the box. So any questions on that one? I'm sorry that didn't come out right there.
Really cute idea.
Thanks.
Really cute idea. I like it.
That idea came from her name now. Her name is, her name got cut off of the paper. Oh, Stamp with Nellie. Nellie.com. Stamp with Nellie. So what her full name is, I'm not positive, but okay. That's that one. We'll set that one aside. All right. Let me clean up my mess a little bit here. The next one doesn't have any stamping unless you make a tag for it, which I recommend. This is it here. And again, this is one that you can use any kind of designer series paper on. This happened to be the Christmas specialty designer series paper from probably 2 years ago. And I have a lot of it. So I decided I was going to use this. But when you open this up, there is a place, and I marked it open in pencil right on the kind of on the fold so I could find it. But you can open this up and kind of give it a squeeze, and then you put your whatever in there, because I have this one glued. Now, if you choose not to glue it, and you can just tie it shut with a ribbon, it just comes apart like so. Okay, so the idea is to make 2 of these stars, and you can see it's a little wonky to get together, and I'll show you when we're doing that, how that happens. But you will, let's see, maybe I'll make it in gold this time, just so it's a different kind of paper. Let's use this. And out of a 12 by 12 piece of designer series paper, you can make 2 stars. All right. So you cut these pieces at 6 by 5 1/4. So that means that you could also, if you had identical pieces of that. Whoa, what's that?
That's my phone.
Okay. So if you had the
good. You know what, I'm on with the class right now. Can I call you back later? Okay, bye-bye.
All right. So so you could do this with a 2 6 by 6 pieces of paper. If they match, that would work really well as well. So you don't necessarily have to use a great big sheet. You could use 2 small sheets. So I am going to carefully do some marking on here. And I'm going to make sure I get the directions out so that we know how to do this. It's a little bit tricky. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is to mark with a pencil the center. Where's my pencil? There it is. And you want to use pencil because you're going to erase it off later. The center of each side. So half of 5 1/4 is 2 5/8, right? Yes. And then half of 6 is easy. That's 3. And 2 5/8 again. And 3. And you can make these boxes bigger as well. I can remember. So on the long side, which is the 6-inch side, you're also going to mark it at 1.5 inches. Only on both sides of the long side. going to check. Yes. Okay, so we are going to cut off and make a hexagon first. So you're going to match the first 1.5 inch mark by the center over here. And I hope I'm doing this right. And cut that off. And over here, it will be this way. And the best way to do this is to hold your finger on one end and rotate the top around till it matches up the cutting groove. Same over here. Now, how she figured out this is the way to cut it, I'll never know. Somebody's a mathematical genius of some sort. Okay. Hold the corner. Okay, so we've made our hexagon. Now we're going to put the cutting blade up there out of the way so that we don't use it. And we're going to go to marking the middle side of each side. Each side is 3 inches in length. So if you mark each side in the middle at the 3 inch mark or 1.5 inch mark, that's where we're going to use. All right, so all of our centers of each of the sides, except this one, are marked at 1.5. Now you're going to score between center to center. So you're going to put this center here and this center down here, which happens to run right along the plaid. Even that's kind of, and score it there. And then turn it to the next one, center, to this center down here. That is definitely going to be not right with the plaid. It should be at a 40, well, I don't know what kind of angle that is, maybe a 45. Now the center of this one and this one down here. Are these even showing up? Can you see what I'm doing? There we go, that's a little better. This center one and this center one. So you make these 6 score lines. You have 6 sides. Don't accidentally grab the cutter. Ask me how I know.
You did it.
Not hard to do. Now you could just put this in your cutting board and oh, there's one more. And I'll show you what I did to help that one out. You could put it in your scoring tool if you don't have this kind of cutter. So I put this mark at the 6 inch mark all the way down, and I just colored it in with a Sharpie. And so then you could put your center line here and match your bottom center up to the mark here. And you would score with your stylus, if you could find it. Oh my goodness. Now I know I just had it, because I did all that scoring on the other one. Well, anyway, find something to score it with. We'll try this. Yeah, there we go. You'd score it center to center that way. And this particular tool gives a better score line than the, can't even find my, there, a bone folder will work. It's a good, this gives a better score line than the trimmer, in my opinion, at least the old trimmer. I don't know how good the new trimmer is. Okay, so we have all of these score lines marked and scored. And then we'll have one more step. Okay, so each, I'll show you on here, it looks like a star on the back side. So our final step is that we need to make a score line from here to here on each point. Okay, so from here to here, here to here, here to here. And the way you would do that is line up your points with that line on your scoreboard and just go from that intersection and out. It's not cooperating with me here because my, let's see, there we go. Can't get my, if your paper's off a little bit, it might affect the scoring. Anyway. Or if I mark this, I can't figure out what I did wrong. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to go one at a time. That one really got messed up, so it probably won't work right. But anyway. All right. Nope. Okay, so when you have that done all the way around, you do that on both pieces. Then you're going to fold this and burnish on that first score line that we did. And I actually tore the paper on this one by scoring it too hard. So that's an issue. Let's see if I can put some tape on it just to get it done for, I would normally throw it away and get a new one. Okay. Got on there like that. It's all full of hair. She hate hairy tape. All right, let's go and erase the pencil marks now. And I'm going to take this piece of the other one that I already did, rather than try to show you how to mark it. She showed it so easily. So we have both of these marked. Pretend they look exactly the same. The idea now is to go in between and push that little section that's between the points, push it together a little bit. This is probably the hardest one of all of them, all the ones we're doing today. And she did not glue hers, but I had such a problem getting it in my hands and getting it together that I glued mine. Okay, so the idea is to go up and down. So this flat, we're going to put them sort of together, but this one is going to go over. This one's going to go under. You see how that flap is under this one? This one's over that one. So the next one is going to go over. And the next one is going to go under. If I get this all in my hand at one time, we're doing good. Now this one needs to go over. And this one needs to go under.
Paper Pixie by any chance?
Paper Pixie.
I don't know.
All right. So I actually did it. Bravo! So you can glue that all together and leave maybe 2 of these sections open for filling, or you can just leave it this way, and then when you tie your ribbon around here, it holds it all together. So. All right. Ta-da!
Really cute.
So if you have a preference as to wanting snowflakes or gold plaid, you'll have to send me a message and let me know, and I'll make sure I get what you like in your kit. I'm not going to write it down right now, so I'll never remember. Okay. That was that 2? That was 2. We need number 3. I'm trying to think which one I'm going to do for number 3. Okay. We'll do a Tami White for number 3. Number 3 was from Tami White.
All right.
It's a little.
That's cute.
A little purse box. You can decorate it with any kind of paper. I put 2 Velcro dots down here to hold it closed. You could put magnets, or you could put one heavier duty kind of Velcro on there, but it's going to be something that's going to take a lot of pulling. I imagine that these will eventually pull off of there, even though I've glued them down. I again used the Bowser Holly Designer Series paper. This little sentiment is from Itty Bitty Christmas, which is also retired. And these are layering circles punch dies that I use there, but you could also use any circles that layer. You could use an oval. Actually, if you used an oval, you may be able to fit it up on the top here, but this curved so much I didn't want to put the sentiment there. This scallop comes from the Scalloped Contours dies, but we also have some border edgelets that are all different kind of shapes that you could use. She used some zigzags. They're like pointed. I didn't have the full set of dies, but I did have the Scallop Contour die, so that's the one I chose to use. So the big piece for the back part of the purse is 4 inches wide by 11 inches long. You have 2 side pieces, which are 3 by 3, and you're going to score them on only 3 of the sides. The handle, I made a 2-layered handle, so the cardstock portion of that would be 3/4 of an inch by 4, and the DSP section of it would be a 1/2 inch by 5 3/4. These will all be in your instructions. And the piece that makes the front to the back measures 6 inches by 3 3/4. And the piece that goes on the front is 3 3/4 by 2 5/8. Okay, and then these side pieces, these are to cover the sides. These pieces here, they are 1 3/4 by 2 1/4. Okay. This is with stampwithtami.com. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is score our card base. And it's scored at 2.5 and 4.5 on this long side. Don't know what I did with my scoring stylus. Luckily, these work as well. What did I say? 2.25 and 2.5 and 4.5. 2.5 and 4.5. So this will be the front of the purse. This will be the bottom of the purse, and this will be the part that rolls over and folds to the front. And there's no scoring on that piece. So now to cut, I keep on knocking pieces of the things I need onto the floor. So hopefully we won't have an issue here. Take my big shot. Oh. Yeah. Okay. And you'll take your long piece. You're going to match up these edges on the top square with each other, even with each other, but give yourself that 1/8 of an inch border on the side. And then we're going to put the scalloped contour die just so that it fits across. And I tried to make it so that the scallops are hitting the sides of the box in the same place. And then hopefully, yeah, it moved, it figures. Let's see if I can get it to move back. There we go. As close to the edges you can get. It's really not a good idea to put 2 thicknesses of paper through your, or cardstock through your big shot, but a piece of DSP and a piece of cardstock works just fine. So when they come out of here, and you see how tough that was, it's a little tough. When they come out of here, they will be cut even. But when you glue this piece on here, you make an even border all the way around. And that's where you get your scallops on the top. So that's all we needed the big shot for. So this one, we need to score these at 1/2 an inch on 3 sides. One, 2, 3, and these are going to form the sides of the box. 1, doesn't matter which 3 sides because it's a square. 3. All right. We're going to see that our decor is going to go on here. I like to put the decoration on before forming the box. Just makes things easier. Just gets centered into that side piece. New glue. Much better. Okay. Now we're just going to snip and cut snip and cut these both straight up. Both straight up. Little wedge. Wedge. Now we're going to fold and burnish. Fold. Burnish, burnish, burnish. To put some glue on each tab. Up to make square. And try to get your sides so they're as square as possible and perpendicular to the right. Okay. All right, little fingers, let's get going here. The extra the Tombow XL size, which is the difference in the sizes here.
Mm-hmm.
This one doesn't fit in my glue holder. Boo. This one fits right in there. Real nice. I'll have to get a different glue holder. All right, so those are both of the side pieces. And let's fold and burnish this and put our front piece on. And we're going to check now. See, the dimensions she gave me were incorrect. So for this piece, I'm going to cut it down and another 1/4 of an inch and make it 2 1/4. If I can find my paper cutter. Otherwise, there is no border on there around that one at all. Okay, that's better. Perfect. So we're going to glue down on the front. Feel free to use other adhesive. Okay. All right. Now this back piece, you see how there was a little bit of a difference in the die cut when it has that little point there. I'm going to snip those off so it looks even on the front. And I don't think that shows up on this piece because it's, no, it doesn't, because this one's a little bit smaller width-wise. So this is going to get glued centered in here, just like so. All right. Then I'll show you what we have to do. Want to make sure you get glue on those scallops because they're going to be used to move that opening of the purse. Okay. Take my bone folder and push that nice and flat. Now we have to make the curve for the back of this, and you're just going to take your bone folder and your thumb and start about where the back of the thing would start to curve, and just keep on curving it. You could also put it around something like this and curve it. So this is my, what is this stuff? Stampin' Mist. Seems to have just about the right curve. So maybe a little shampoo bottle that you have laying around. It's a little bit easier than fighting with the foam folder, but it does work. All right, I think I got that as good as I'm going to get it. So now we're going to glue in our bottoms, our sides to the bottom. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, Tami should have made these just a hair smaller than this distance in here, because it does get bulky on the in this section here. It kind of goes right on top of the score line, and you really, that's not preferable. So we're going to get our bottom and our sides. We're going to get them to stick. If we can get it. Put a little more glue down here in the corner. And I'm going to put the other one in before I put the back up. If you have clothespins, that would be a good thing to use on here to pinch these corners here and here until the glue sets. Or little those in my drawer. I usually do some of those mini clips that they look sort of like a butterfly. All right, so now let's push the sides up and get them even, like so. And I found that I'll get the sides even, and then I'll take my bone folder and run it up on the inside of here to set the glue. Press it down. Set the glue. And be careful that it doesn't actually, when you do that, that it doesn't actually move your sides, which it did. So I have to move them back a little. All right. So that's pretty much the box shape. And you'll see that this is going to take a little bit of force to make it go down. So what I do while I'm waiting is I stick this inside of here and give it a push like that and just kind of let it set while I'm making the handle. And this is not rocket science on the handle. It's just these two pieces glued together. One is 3/4 of an inch by 6, and the other one is a 1/2 inch by 5 3/4. I'm going to score them at 3/4 of an inch on each end when the glue is ready. I'm going to score them so it goes outward like that. And since we fold away from the valley, and since we want these to come up, we're going to score these on the back side. 3/4 of an inch. That was only a 1/2 inch, so that figures. No, it wasn't. All right, and then we're going to fold those up. Fold those up, and then we're going to, again, break down the fibers in this strap to make it bend. Or again, you can wrap it around that same bottle he had here before. And then bring our gizmo back. I will have some Velcro dots for you. I use 2 because these are small. If you have a larger one, you'd only need the big ones. Okay, so I'm going to pull these apart, and I like to put the fluffy side on the top and the stiff side on the bottom. So, you know, it's like, yeah, softy and stiffy. Okay, and then you're going to put these 2 pieces right on there. Fingernail off of it. Trying not to touch the glue with your fingers. Okay, so now when you close this over, you're going to make sure you close it evenly and where you want it to end up. So I think that this would be good. And then I'm going to sneak my fingers in there and push those together. All right, and then we can put our strap on the top. And you can use a brad on this if you want. This should go right in the center and line up your papers and edges of your cardstock together so that they're even. Okay. If you don't like that the handle curves up quite as much as that, you can make this piece a little bit shorter and you won't have it won't pop up as high. All right, so then you would put your bow and your medallion on there, and you can use an oval, you can use a circle, you can use square, you can use whatever you want on there. I just wanted to show 2 different colors of the purse itself. And so that's pretty much how you make the purse. Outside of decoration, it needs some decoration, yeah. Okay. And I think I have one more thing on my list, and that's this thing. This is another Paper Pixie faceted box. I made it in 2 sizes. This is an 8x8 square of paper, and this was a piece of the Brightest or Lights Aglow designer series paper. It's all sparkly. It's not showing the sparkle very well. There it is. The gold is sparkly. So that works perfect for probably 3 or 4 Hershey's Kisses or something like that. This is a little bit bigger, of course, so you could put, I don't know what would fit in there. It's about 2.5 inches tall and 3 inches around the bottom. couple cookies, whatever, but we're going to try to make one of those. So let me see if I can, again, I'm going to use this piece. This is an 8x8. So out of a regular, you can use regular cardstock and then cut triangles out, which she shows in her video on how to do. But this is the template, so it looks kind of complicated, doesn't it? So that's what I'll be looking at. So on the 8x8, we're going to score all sides at 2 inches. Well, that's easy enough. 2 and 2, and then we'll go 2 and 2, and then what? Okay, so we don't need to do anything else there except to put these diagonal. Oh, at the 4-inch mark, we're going to come right down just to the first score line on each side, right there, and right there, and right there, and right there. I do. Okay. And then we're going to line up our top and bottom, and we're going to go from the intersection up. And then this one from the intersection down. This foil paper likes to tear a little bit, so I'm probably pressing a little too hard. And then this one, do that on both corners here. I got to find that intersection. It's hard to see.
I tried this unsuccessfully, so I'm intrigued.
And okay, so now at that first mark to the first intersection. So if you line this first mark here and this one here, we're just going to go from that corner down to the first intersection. Yeah. And from this mark, and I didn't do the bottom one at the same time. You tried this one, Ellen?
It's looking familiar. I was not successful. So
I was not. So I'm getting ink all over this. And then this last.
Some days your spatial reasoning just isn't as sharp as it should be.
Okay, and we need to go across at each corner here. There will be a template in there for the scoring. This is kind of complicated. And it didn't want to mush together for me at all. So one more. See if I've got that right. I think we're good. All right. Whatever I have all over my fingers is coming off onto the paper. It's glue and yuck. All righty. So, oh, that one's supposed to have a mark in it too. Figures. That one I missed. that. I missed it there as well. No, it's there. It's just so light I can't see it. Okay. So we're going to cut up here. According to what I just did it wrong. Cut out the wrong square. So, you know, yeah, it's not easy. It was intriguing to me too. Anyway, you cut up the center and cut the next diagonal off. All right. So there should be an X in each corner, and you're going to go up the center and cut the diagonal to the right off, which I forgot to mark. So we're going to go up the center. And the diagonal to the right off. And up the center. I'm just eyeballing these because I forgot to mark them. Diagonal to the center off. All right. So the only thing I didn't get was that this one is supposed to have a diagonal as well, but I have to see which way it goes this way. It would have been nice if I could have found my, okay. Forgot to mark a couple or score a couple.
So those pretty quick.
All righty. So now we have the piece that we're supposed to have.
Just the button, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to glue this first corner over. If you're using DSP, this is the way you would want to do it. If you were using the cutout pieces of paper, because she has you make a cutout to fit every one of these triangles. And I said, no, not going there.
She's very clever. And she is from Cleveland, by the way.
Yeah.
Chagrin Falls, I think, or somewhere around here.
Got a little pixie haircut. That's how I remember she's the Paper Pixie. All right, so now these are going to be the tabs for glue. So we're going to just fold them up. Fold them up. Fold them up. And fold them up. And they're just going to glue to your neighbor like so. So glue to your neighbor. I didn't score the bottom though. because so it's not acting so good.
No offense, Robin, but I don't feel so bad now.
Yeah. No offense taken, definitely. You know, when you think you have this all, I made 4 of them. You think I'd, but you just lose track of what you're supposed to be doing. All right, so now we're going to get this scoreboard out of the way. Glad this is the last one. And foil paper does not like to glue either. So you have that going for you. And we'll just bring this one over. So when you're looking at it at first, it looks like you're just making a square box. It's when you go to fold it that the sort of magic happens. That one didn't get in the right spot, so I gotta make sure your sides are square. Oh, we're running long, aren't we? Oh, well. If I knew what I was doing, it wouldn't have been that bad. Maybe I should have stopped at 4. Last one. All right. Okay, these in-betweener ones need to get folded or coaxed toward the middle anyway. And you're going to take the seam, the place where the seam is going to be the center of the side. So that's what's got to come together. And then the seam on this side comes in like this. I forgot to burnish a score line. But the thing to remember is the place where the seam is becomes the side pieces. And that's why it is so hard to fold. Come on. Yeah, this one's falling apart because the paper's ripping. So when all else fails, take the sample apart, right?
I think it's easier to do it with non-metallic.
I believe so. I think that's where I went wrong. I would not use metallic. This was just plain cardstock. I mean, DSP. So you have your square box here. And the places that the seams go in, and the place where the seams are not pinches out in that little, just in that little triangle shape. So you pinch those seams, and pinch the sides together, and you have your box. So it really is substantial in size in there. And then when you have figured out, you only have to poke a hole in 2 sides, because once you get one side going, the other side just automatically comes together. And it doesn't matter which side you do. The other thing I'd show you too that's happening right here, the glue is coming unstuck. So you really do have to get your glue all the way up. Can you see that there? Yeah, you really do have to get your glue all the way up to the edge, because that is going to be the place that pushes in. So if it's falling apart, that's where it is, because there's a seam on every side here. So use your discretion at making that one. And then I just poked a hole here and a hole here, and I just kind of measured a 1/4 inch down.
I think the metallic was the problem.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
Because this didn't do it either. This was the small one.
Right.
And it didn't help that because it was metallic, I couldn't see real well to get the score lines done. If you're using DSP, at least there's a pattern on both sides and you can see the score line.
Yeah.
So I'm just fiddling with this, putting it back together. There we go. And if you want a tag on it, put it on there before you tie your bow. She puts tags on everything. It looks so cute. I would have liked to seen a little bit more glitter on this one. So I think I would have used a gold ribbon instead of red. But, you know, it's just kind of.
Put your metallic on the ribbon.
Yeah.
Really
there we
cute.
go. All right.
That's a lot of scoring, but that's cute.
Yeah, this one is pretty much, that's why I saved it for last, because it's pretty much a pain in the rear. Yeah, see on this one here, I didn't score across here, so it's not wanting to fold on me right.
Play nice.
Nor here. So that, you know, that's my problem. Not yours.
So
mine.
You could do that with any size.
Any square.
Divisible by 4, right? I mean, you need
right. That's what she said. She any size square actually, but you have to be able to find the center of it.
Right.
And then the center of that.
Yeah.
And then you have to follow the scoring.
Yeah.
Just like this. And some of this
easier to do with a big piece to begin with, so you see more what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah. And I did, but it's, you know, it's just that's where I started here, and then I tried the little one. Well, I should have tried a great big one.
Figuring it out, because I didn't, and I was frustrated. So cute.
All righty, let me say goodbye to everybody, but don't go anywhere, ladies. I'm just saying goodbye to everybody in the internet world if they've joined us, which they haven't joined today, but you know, maybe they will when they're watching online. My videos are doing very well. Yeah. So let me cut the recording.